So I've struggled for years in getting good packaging for my knives, and I've gone through lots and lots of iterations, but I'm now finally happy with the system that I have for sending my knives. And when we think of packaging, it needs to do two things. So the first is to protect the knife. Most of my knives are shipped internationally, so I need to know that they're going to be safe and secure in whatever packaging that I use. And secondly, I want the box to present the knife in the best way possible. I want it to scream quality. So when the customer receives it, they think this is something special. I want that nice unboxing experience for them. So I'm going to take you through a few of the iterations that I've had over the years. Some terrible, some not too bad, right up to what I'm currently using. And hopefully that'll inspire you to come up with something creative for your own packaging. So this is your generic box, which I think most people start off using. These come in a variety of shapes and sizes, very cheap, pretty strong, and they come with these little flaps to keep the lid down. You can use some tape and so on. These are fine, they do the job, and I've got one of my box cutters here as an example. The biggest problem you have is things are going to rattle. So what I like to do is, whenever I order something online, it generally comes with a lot of packaging. So I like to keep all this packaging just in a bag. So when it comes to things like this, I can just reuse it. So I'm not having to order anything, it's free, complete, very, very cheap, very affordable. So here I've got an example of the kind of stuff that I keep. So lots and lots of shredded paper. This comes in very handy. Obviously recyclable, which is always good. These packaging peanuts, I don't think they're very good for the environment, but they've already come to me, so they've already been manufactured. So I think reusing these is a good idea. So yeah, I'll throw a couple of them in there. Amazon like to use a lot of this twisted paper. Again, it's recyclable. But I reuse it, and I hope that my customers will either reuse or recycle themselves. So all that kind of stuff will help to stop the knife from rattling in the box. So it's always wise to keep a bag of stuff that you can just reuse, stuff that's been sent to you that you can reuse. So next up are these cardboard tubes, which are really handy. Again, very, very cheap. Recyclable. They'll come with these plastic caps, fully recyclable again. And what I like to do is put one cap on, fill it with this reusable stuff that you're using again. So in this case, we've got shredded paper and these plastic beans. Really stuff it hard with these, fill it right up. Then when you've got your knife, what you want to do is suspend that in the middle so it's not rattling around. And what I like to do with a sharp blade like this, I'd make like a cardboard sayer. Just wrap it around the actual blade. Put it in so it's held in place. It's not going to rattle around. Always put tape on the ends of these plastic cups because they can come off in transit. And it's always worth considering, if you're shipping these internationally, take a look at the shipping documents which you'll need to put on the tube. You want to make sure that for whatever area that you have, that your shipping document will actually wrap around the tube. You don't want it to be you want the tube to be too small, otherwise it just won't fit. And the only thing you'll be able to do then is buy one of those mail-in bags, put this in the bag, and then put this to the bag. This will be rattling around in the bag. So yeah, try to make sure you don't get these too small. But they work really well, and I still use these for my box cutters now, but just be very careful that your pointy end, it's got lots of packaging there. You don't want that to be coming out of the tube. So those first two examples could work with any style of knife. They're not custom in any way, they're just generic boxes. But as I work with large batches of a certain shaped blade, I thought I'll try and do something custom. So I've worked with a bunch of different sort of iterations on custom packaging. And this is one of them. And this one I didn't actually go ahead with, but this is about a year old. And something that I was really happy with. But I'll explain in a second why I didn't use this one. So this is the prototype, so it is a bit battered up. So it looks like a pizza box, I suppose. It's flat. If I open it up, we can see that we've got this cross member here, which really puts a lot of strength into the box. And if I take that out, we can see that that is corrugated card, and the shape of the blade has been laser cut out. So I've got one of the blanks here of my blades, and you can see that would fit in there perfectly, wouldn't rattle around, so it's held securely in situ there in the box. So this would then fit in the box. And either side then of that cross brace, we've got some space, so whether that could be for stickers or for any extra little goodies that you'd like to send your customer. So this would then fold up. The whole idea of this was it could go through a letterbox. So a standard European size letterbox, it would fit through, hence it being on the diagonal. Because if it was the full length, it would be too big for a letterbox, but as a diagonal, it would fit through. But I just had problems getting the quality to the level that I wanted, so I never actually went ahead with these. But this was pretty, for custom packaging, this was pretty inexpensive. It is just cardboard, and it was the die cutting of the shape there, which was the expensive bit. But that was something quite fun, and I got very excited about that until I realised that it was, I just couldn't get the quality that I wanted. So I moved on to the next idea. So this box is totally custom. You can see the design there on the front and on the back. And this was done by a company called pack.ly. And I think they're based in Italy, certainly in Europe. But if you're in the US, there are similar services such as packlane.com, or there's packhelp.com, which I think do both US and Europe. But basically, they let you design a completely custom box. So this particular one is double walled, so that means there's 2 layers of protection there. And you can print basically on every face. And I purposely kept these quite blank because that's sort of the sort of style that I like. But they're really nice, so they're very, very solid. So these have been completely custom designed, and the way you do that is by going to, well, in this case it was pack.ly, and you can download the die line for that particular box. So the die line, if you think of that as the sort of the unfolded box, the flat version of the box, you can then take that into your favourite illustration program, whether that's Illustrator or Photoshop, design it, and then re-upload to the site. And what I really like about Packly is it'll give you a 3D version of the box showing exactly how it will look. And then they ship it to you. And then you just simply fold the box up and you're ready to go. Now these are quite expensive if you're just doing one-offs. But if you're doing runs of 50 or 100, they can turn out to be very, very inexpensive. And I think they add an extra layer of polish to sending out a custom knife. But yeah, I really like these. So this is a 2-part box, which is double walled. And again, what I'll do, these were made for chef knives such as this. And what I do there is I pack it up again with this free stuff that I'm using from other people's packaging. Put the blade in, and again, more on top. So by the time that is put on top, it really holds the knife in place. And that can then be wrapped up in brown paper and sent away, shipped quite safely. So I really like these. So this was the first sort of iteration that I had of completely custom packaging. And I think it worked really well. So these were for chef knives, and I still use a version of this now. But I wanted to take things a little bit further and have them even more custom. So for my latest knives, which are camp knives, in a bid to go even more custom, again I've used Packly to design a custom box, which is here. It's slightly different to the chef knife. So again, we've got the picture on the front. This one actually has a sleeve, so we can slide it open, and we've got that double walled box inside. But this one has been printed on the back as well, designed to get you outdoors in this case. I just find this far sturdier, and as the camp knives were coming in a sheath, in a Kydex sheath, these could fit in really nicely, again packed in with the usual shredded paper and plastic beans and so on. They just hold really well in these boxes, and I think they look really nice. But what I did to give these a bit of extra flair is I wanted them to not just be these black and white boxes. I mean, you can print these in full colour, but the sort of style of my website and so on, I wanted to match in with. So this is actually, even though it's black and white, this is full colour, because it does actually, you can just see there, we do have just one little heart in red, which I think stands out quite nicely. But to give these an extra layer of quality, I've hot foil stamped these. So I've got this cheap Chinese machine for hot foil stamping, and using the small CNC I've got in the shop here, I've created my logo as a die. And what this machine does, it'll heat up, and when you put some foil in underneath, some special thermal foil in, it'll emboss your packaging, in this case gold. And I think it gives it a nice sort of extra layer of quality to the packaging. So this is my current packaging, and I couldn't be happier. It holds the knife very well. I think it looks good. It sort of screams a certain level of quality. And I just think you don't really have to spend that much money to make something beautiful. There are plenty of other resources out there. So I said I've used Packly, which is pack.ly online. There's packhelp.com, there's packlane.com, all doing very similar things. And we're seeing more of these kind of things happening as more and more people are making things to produce to sell. So go take a look at those resources, and hopefully you'll be inspired to come up with something unique for your own knives. Thank you for watching.